Few that amuse me. Well, what comes to mind right off the top of my head is Lyndon LaRouche has come up with some of the most wonderful conspiracy theories of all. But my favorite, I think, is the little pamphlet he wrote about Henry Kissinger called Kissinger, The Politics of Faggotry, which shows just how far out LaRouche is. He prefers the word faggot to gay because he knows it's more insulting. Somebody who writes like that, you know he's not trying to convince everybody. He just wants to have a small cult of true believers. At least that's what his style sounds like to me. Kissinger's wife slugged one of LaRouche's disciples for tracking them through an airport, yelling at her, your husband goes for little boys, you know, your husband goes for little boys. She decked him.
Well, the conspiracy of everything is under control, the conspiracy of, the Encyclopedia of Conspiracy Theories is due out in bookstores in July.
That's right. That's
correct. And what are you working on now? I know most of your fans are clamoring for more fiction.
Well, I'm working on a rewrite of the New Inquisition.
Okay.
And I'm also working on a rewrite of what used to be Playboy's Book of Forbidden Words, which Playboy doesn't have the rights to anymore. It's going to be published by Hull House here in San Jose.
I am familiar with them.
You're familiar with Hull House? Yeah, it's named after Uncle Ho.
Yeah, the Chinese god of laughter.
That's right.
Or Ho Chi Minh, or
well, one of them. Some wise Oriental sage. Just because it sounds like an old joke about New Orleans.
Or just because, it takes on a whole different meaning in New Orleans.
The old joke about New Orleans is any man who gets off the train there has one thought in mind: do I check into the hotel first, or do I go to the Hull House right away? But. One of the ones that really fascinates me is the Howard Hunt, Richard Nixon, Flight 553, Bay of Pigs mystery.
Oh, that's right. I was supposed to mention that, and I forgot. So please do go on.
Well, in the Watergate tapes, Nixon tells Dean Hunt wants $1 million, and Dean tells Nixon that Hunt wants $1 million, and Nixon says, "Well, I can get $1 million."
Oh, I know this quote. I can do it. We could get $1 million. We could do it. We could do it. It wouldn't be easy, but we could do it.
Yeah, then he goes on and says Hunt might spill the whole Bay of Pigs thing. And then later he said that to Haldeman in another tape. He said, Hunt is threatening to spill the whole Bay of Pigs thing. Now, I wrote a book many years ago in which I asked the question, what Bay of Pigs thing hadn't come out by 1974 that Nixon was willing to pay $1 million to cover up? Well, it seems that Ehrlichman, in his book about the Watergate scandals, and A.J. Weberman, who has the biggest and best JFK assassination site on the web, it's a hard one to read. You got to scroll down each page before you can get to the next. Very old-fashioned, but it's got more data in it than any other. Weberman has done a lot of research on that too, and it seems that Nixon had a code he used for certain subjects. And the whole Bay of Pigs thing was his code for the Kennedy assassination.
Oh.
And if that's true, if Ehrlichman is telling the truth and Weberman has got the backup evidence correct, then Hunt was threatening to reveal something about the Kennedy assassination that Nixon was willing to pay $1 million to cover up. This is the kind of theory that I find remotely plausible and not totally crazy. Because Nixon did start paying the money to Hunt, and Hunt's wife was carrying some of it when she was on a plane that crashed under very mysterious circumstances, Flight 553.
And because these are people who wouldn't involve themselves in flights of fancy, this is something concrete that they're talking about, too.
Well, Nixon's willing to pay $1 million to cover it up. It means something.
Yes.
And Flight 553, the pilot who, eerily enough, was named Captain Whitehouse, he had a lot of cyanide in his bloodstream, which is the explanation, the official explanations of that are it was gas released when the plane crashed, but the critics claim that he couldn't get that much cyanide from that, or it would have to be put into him in his drink or something like that. But the Spotlight magazine printed the photographs of the three tramps with Howard Hunt, an attempt to show one of the three tramps on the grassy knoll was Howard Hunt.
Behind the fence in the grassy knoll.
And he sued them for libel, and he lost. The jury not only found Spotlight innocent, but one of the foremen of the jury told the press afterwards that the defense counsel, Mark Lane, by the way, she said, Mr. Lane wanted us to believe the government shot the president. After we examined all the evidence, we came to the conclusion the government did shoot the president.
Well, is there anybody looking into these things besides yourself?
Oh yeah, there's the Assassination Investigation Committee in Cambridge, Massachusetts.
Okay.
They are very well informed about all this. They got a list of over 100 people connected with the Kennedy assassination who also died
Under mysterious
very
circumstances.
mysterious circumstances, like Albert Guy Bogard.
Right,
Who
Dorothy
was
Kilgallen was
well,
she
Albert
another
Guy Bogard was an automobile salesman who said Lee Harvey Oswald came in, took a car for a test drive, went 70 miles an hour on the freeway, and gave him a lot of pro-Soviet propaganda, and said he was coming into a lot of money. Now, Oswald did not drive.
Maybe it was Kerry Thornley.
Maybe it was Kerry Thornley. It was, well, he's called the second Oswald, the guy in that story, who appears several times around Dallas in mysterious contexts. But Albert Guy Bogard, after telling that story, he was found dead in a cemetery, shot through the head, pronounced suicide. There's so many people who committed suicide.
Under mysterious, non-suicidal type circumstances.
George de Mohrenschildt, who was a friend of Oswald's, even though he was a CIA operative and very anti-Soviet. When he was subpoenaed by the House Select Committee on Assassinations, he was found dead and pronounced a suicide, although his wife refused to accept that. Sam Giancana, who's suspected by a lot of people, think the Mafia were involved. As soon as he got a subpoena from the House Select Committee on Assassinations, he was shot through the mouth. The Mafia calls that sasso in bocca. That's punishment for suspected informers. Johnny Roselli, when he got his subpoena, he disappeared and showed up floating in a barrel in the Gulf of Mexico. I could go on and on. The Cambridge, like I said, this group in Cambridge has over 100 cases like that. It does make you wonder.
Yeah, but unfortunately, we're almost out of time, so we can't go through all 100 of them. But
I don't know all the 100. I'm not that.
Well, it's about time to wrap things up, so let me mention once again the Robert Anton Wilson's newest book is Everything is Under Control, the Encyclopedia of Conspiracy Theories. You can also find out more about this book and conspiracy theories in general on the web, www.blackops.com, a wonderful website for conspiracies.
Or they can try my own website, www.rawilson.com.
It was the source for much amusement and information and enlightenment as well.
And I think it has the best set of links of any website around. from my page, you can go anywhere you want on there. You can find all sorts of weird things.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Robert Anton Wilson, for being with us tonight.
It was a privilege being here.
It was a pleasure to have you.
Let's go out and get drunk.
Oh, I'm right behind you, big guy.